What's up, you guys? Bat Check JW. You are looking at a Colt 1911, the government model known as a Series 80. This is a beautiful 1911. Some people say Colt is definitely the master of it. Well, they are the original makers, and it's kind of like a Harley Davidson motorcycle. It's not one unless it's a Harley, right? So, all right, here we go. Let's take the mag out. This is their blued magazine. You can see just a standard Colt magazine, and make sure it's clear. So let's start taking this thing apart. Do it for you right here. So first thing I want to do is start with the plunger tube and just depress that, turn it, and I want to make sure that this thing doesn't go out into space, kind of like 3D almost. All right, pushing that right there, and that comes right out. Okay, well, I'm going to take the slide off, and that takes the slide off. This is your basic fuel strip, little guide rod and recoil spring. Put that to the side. Let's put all of our parts up here. Okay, so then taking your bushing and turning it to the opposite side, and you notice it won't go any further. One side it goes and one side it won't. That's the side you want, because then that allows the bushing to come out, and your barrel comes out through the front. And it's a little dirty, got to clean it since we shot it. So taking it down here. So let's start begin with the slide. That's pretty much it. Got to take the firing pin out, and how we do that, the easiest way is to take a little punch here. Oh, my little mess of tools. Now you'll notice in the slide there is this button. That is your firing pin stop. So what I'm going to do is actually with my finger, I'm going to push that button and take my punch very carefully and push that in and let the button go. When I release the punch, it should retain. Okay, so take this very carefully and just scoot that base plate right out. Okay, turn it upside down and put it to the table here, and I'm going to go ahead and push that button, and you'll feel, there it is, firing pin is out. Okay, and then if I push on the extractor right there, you'll notice the button kind of already has popped out, and it should go. Let's see here, there it goes. So there it is. Put that aside. Now you can push your extractor all the way out, and you can just take the pin or the punch and just scoot it. Sometimes the Series 80, it may be a little stuck in there, so you may need a tap on it, but other than that, there it is. That is the slide, other than the sights. Okay, so set that aside. Moving on to the frame. Now what I want to do is take off the grips first. Screwdriver. Couple of reasons why we want to take off the grips is, one, you don't want to damage them, especially if you have some nice ones like the Colt offers. Two, when we get into the pins in here, you'll see why. Okay, so all right, next step is to take this thumb safety off, and how you do that is you want to put your hand over here, and you'll see why, because there's a spring with a detent right in here. It's going to come flying out, and you don't want to lose that, and or some people don't even know what it looks like. All right, so you're going to basically take this thing and move it up and down, and while pulling up on it, up and down, and it basically pops right out. Okay, and that's how you take off your thumb safety. Now you'll see the rest of this kind of sprung open. The spring with the detent is kind of housed there, so that's good. Colt usually puts a kink in the middle, and so it kind of wedges it in there a little bit. All right, so I'm going to grip it and pulling the trigger, and I'm going to let the hammer down, take off the tension off the mainspring inside here. All right, so then I'm going to take a little bit of a larger punch, and I'm going to drive out this pin right here. So, and it shouldn't require too much, and this is another reason why you take off the grips. You don't want to mar up your grips. I'm going to set the punch right there so you can see, whoops, right there, and I'm just going to tap on it. And there it comes. Okay. Sorry for the bad camera work right there. That's what happens when you make these videos. Okay, so now that's off. You can slide this right out and you'll see all the stuff inside there. Thought that was a little bit of rust. It's always good to sometimes do this because you never know. It's a good thing to do this because you want to make sure you're not getting all rusty inside there. So there's your sear spring that comes out, and you'll notice everything else now is held in by pins right here. These two right here. Now sometimes depending on your 1911, you'll see the grip here will kind of maybe not this one, but I've had some that it'll actually cover that pin. So what we do is from this side you can push them out right here. Okay, so the first one you pull, that will drop the hammer. And if it's like I said, this is a series 80, so it'll also drop your little switches here. Let's pull that pin. Let's get it out. It's kind of stuck. There it is. Okay, so this is one of there it is. It's one of the two. I don't want to mar up my gun by putting in tools, setting on tools, but all right, so here's what is different about this gun compared to the others. So these are kind of stacked up in there, and they're kind of doing this, and that's kind of bumping up out of the frame, and it's basically hitting your firing pin stop right there to allow it to go forward. That is a lockup system that they started to do in when? Guess what? The 80s. Is that kind of why they call it the Series 80? It could be. So that's an addition. This is something that John Moses Browning would not recognize in his beloved design. Okay? So, I know what you're saying next. How do we get the trigger out? Before we move to that, I'd like to talk to you about one other part, which is the mainspring. This thing, I'm not going to do it on camera here because it is a bugger to get back in. But if you do need to take this apart, you push your this pin, this detent right here, you push it down, you'll see it moves. It's under a tremendous amount of force in there, but you push on it and you basically drive out this pin right here, and that's usually driven out through the rear side, the other side right here. So usually push it out through that side while pushing down on this part right here. And like I said, it's held in there by a tremendous amount of pressure. I usually don't recommend to do it unless you absolutely have to. It's not very fun to do. Okay, so moving on to the trigger. How do you get that trigger out? Well, it's actually held in by the magazine release. So we're gonna go ahead and change my screwdriver tips here. I got a smaller one right here. Okay, yep. Get the smaller one out, okay, because it is all right there. So we got the screwdriver. We're gonna go ahead and fit it right in here, okay. And now the thing is, what you want to do is push the magazine release like that, okay, and you want to turn it counterclockwise, okay. And what that's doing is I'll show you when we remove it, okay. Oops. Again, marring up my gun. Alright, see the little arm, if you can see it, move the grease out of the way here, I'll see it, put it in there. Okay, see that little arm that moves, if the camera will focus, okay, that arm actually, when it's in position, it locks up into a little channel inside the frame of this gun. Alright, so the next part is the trigger removal, and that's it. There's your trigger. Comes right out. That's how you so if you got to change the trigger, basically you got to take apart everything on the frame. Anyway, there you go. I'm Bad Jack JW signing off for now. That's how you dissect or take apart the Colt 1911 Series 80. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate all the subscribers. Your support is definitely unbelievable. I appreciate every single one of you. Again, thank you.